January-February 1917. A nation on the brink, cold Russian streets, bread lines, workers in factories, Tsar Nicholas II in uniform. As 1917 began, Russia was in crisis. World War I had devastated the economy. Millions of soldiers were dead or wounded. Food shortages plagued the cities. Anger grew toward Tsar Nicholas II, whose autocratic rule and mismanagement had pushed the empire to the edge. Behind the scenes, revolutionary groups, Bolsheviks, Mensheviks, and socialist revolutionaries, were gaining momentum. Russia was a powder keg, and the spark was about to ignite. March 1917, the February Revolution, Julian calendar. Crowds protesting in Petrograd, soldiers mutinying, Tsar's abdication. In early March, late February on the Julian calendar, mass protests broke out in Petrograd, today's St. Petersburg. What began as a strike over bread quickly grew into a nationwide uprising. Troops sent to suppress the protests refused orders, joining the demonstrators instead. Facing total collapse, Tsar Nicholas II abdicated on March 15th. Over 300 years of Romanov rule came to an end. A provisional government was formed, led by liberal reformers, but it struggled to control the chaos. April 1917, Lenin returns. Lenin arriving at Finland Station, crowds cheering, fiery speeches. In April, Vladimir Lenin, leader of the radical Bolsheviks, returned to Russia from exile in Switzerland. With help from Germany, which hoped to destabilize Russia further, Lenin was smuggled across Europe in a sealed train. He arrived in Petrograd and declared, "Peace, land and bread." Lenin immediately denounced the Provisional Government and called for all power to the Soviets, workers' councils that were gaining influence across the country. May-July 1917, power struggles and rising tensions, dual power diagrams, street clashes, soldiers debating politics. From May to July, two rival powers ruled Russia, the Provisional Government, backed by moderates and the Allies. The Petrograd Soviet, supported by workers, soldiers, and radical leftists, conflicts between them deepened. In July, anti-government demonstrations, known as the July Days, erupted in the capital. The Provisional Government responded by cracking down on the Bolsheviks. Lenin fled to Finland, and several leaders were arrested. But the government's hold was weakening fast. August 1917, the Kornilov affair. General Kornilov, railroads, Red Guards mobilizing in August. General Lavor Kornilov, a conservative military leader, attempted a coup against the Provisional Government. He marched troops toward Petrograd, claiming he wanted to restore order. In desperation, Prime Minister Alexander Kerensky turned to the Bolsheviks for help. Bolshevik militias, called the Red Guards, defended the capital and stopped the coup. Ironically, this made the Bolsheviks more powerful than ever. September-October 1917. The Bolsheviks prepare for revolution. Secret meetings, Trotsky addressing crowds, printing propaganda. By September, Bolsheviks were winning majorities in key Soviets, including Petrograd and Moscow. Leon Trotsky, now head of the Petrograd Soviet, organized a plan for revolution. Meanwhile, Lenin returned in disguise and convinced party leaders that an armed uprising was inevitable. They began stockpiling weapons, recruiting loyal troops, and waiting for the right moment. November 1917. The October Revolution, Julian calendar. Bolsheviks storming the Winter Palace, red flags, Lenin at the podium. On the night of November 7th, October 25th on the Julian calendar, the Bolsheviks launched their revolution. Red Guards stormed the Winter Palace in Petrograd, seizing control with minimal resistance. The Provisional Government collapsed. Lenin announced a new Soviet government, promising an end to the war and redistribution of land and power. December 1917. A new order begins. Lenin signing decrees, land redistribution, German-Russian negotiations. The Bolsheviks moved quickly, pulled Russia out of World War I, nationalized banks and industry distributed land to peasants. The revolution sparked a civil war between the Bolsheviks, Reds, and their opponents, the Whites, but the new regime was firmly in control of key cities and resources. A new chapter in world history had begun. Historical significance, Soviet flag, images of Lenin, Cold War symbols. The Russian Revolution of 1917 reshaped the global political landscape. It also triggered the Russian Civil War, the Red Terror, and decades of ideological conflict, culminating in the Cold War. Like, share, and subscribe for more defining events that shaped the modern world, told year by year. Comment below. Was the Russian Revolution a victory for the people, or the beginning of a new kind of tyranny? Share your thoughts in the comments.